to get through it real quick while we get ready for the September 9th Monday morning call. It's 8:15 in the morning, so let's get going. Um, let's see, I'm a little high here. I'm trying to use this seat behind me, but not exactly. Oh, that could be better. Oh, there we go. All right. So anyway, hopefully everyone had a great weekend as far as sports are concerned. What are you going to do? Jets still, you know what? I'm sorry, I made my son a Jet fan, but at least he has fantasy football to watch his players because the Jets could drive you crazy. Giants also lost, and I guess if you're a Philly fan, congrats. Anyway, it's a new week, and guys are trying to figure out, what to do here. If you took Redler Ultimate Access or you actually even bought my report, I said that, we have these different types of active sequences. These active sequences that sometimes last a day and then fail, or start and then all of a sudden for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, they show commitment, they act special, and you can stay with a whole bunch of names and massage them and make actually more money than if you were just like day trading and using a red dog reversal or using the HL setup, or being in for a second, a minute, an hour. So when you get these active sequences where you see some commitment and you see decent action, it gives you the opportunity to hold things for multiple days. And starting last Tuesday, we've been holding a few things for multiple days, and then also rotating with tiers and using some other stocks, and making good money. It's been a good 2 weeks ever since that range. In August, you had the range where you had to be quick, you had to be nimble, and sometimes you got trapped if you looked for follow through overnight. But every now and then, when the range finally gets enough people frustrated, it resolves, and then you have to be able to measure how it resolves so you can stay with it. So today the futures are up 7. Some news over the weekend that perhaps China says, hey, we'll buy your farm goods if you get lift restrictions on Huawei and don't put the October 1st tariffs in place, or the 12/15. So you have to listen up for those headlines. But you go to the chart of the S&P cash and you look over here. This is basically what I just talked about, as far as the active sequence. So I want to give a quick little lesson, and I'm just going to get to it because I know everybody wants me to roll through some charts. So what is an active sequence? An active sequence is potentially has to start somewhere. Sometimes it starts with a red dog reversal. Sometimes it starts with a big day one. Sometimes it starts with a gap, and then you see how the next few days thereafter respond, so you know whether or not it meant something. So here was your 2856 red dog reversal right here. Could have went below it, could have went down to range support, didn't happen, so that turned into your day one. Cover some shorts, maybe get long. From there, you had some power. First time at 2940-ish was too fast, too quick. Came in, held the top third of this range, so that shows commitment. Then all of a sudden you had a gap up that held to show some power, closed near 2940, bam, all of a sudden 2985. So just like that, a big move happened, and hopefully you weren't caught short, and you had some longs on, because you look at my disclosures, I had some decent longs on, so hopefully you followed along. So anyway, now looks like we're opening right around 29.85, a little bit above. Your next point of reference is 29.97, which is really where we broke down from here. Probably won't be much resistance, but it'll be some. It's a point of reference. That's all we have is points of reference. And then you have the all-time high. So I kind of wrote that out here, which I'm going to keep that there, and I'm going to do a little lesson on it, because that 2-week time period definitely goes into, I just talk about, a gap that showed power, red dog reversal, commitment levels, retracement levels, this, that, and everyone's like, I understand those things, but, I don't know them like the back of my hand like you do, which, you teach. So anyway, we'll get into that after. So that's where we are now. Q's also had a nice move. Here it did the same type of red dog reversal on August 28th, gap up into resistance, pulled in, held. This was your day really to switch some gears. It got back above the moving averages. That was your time to be long some tech, and then came up into here. So for today, we'll see, does it hold 192.33 or not? If it holds it, there really is nothing up until 195 or somewhere into here, but just take trades along the way. We're not seriously overbought, but everything's not created equal. Not everything's going. There are definitely some things that are acting a little weird, and some things acting better than others, so you'll see. But can't get too bearish if we hold this 191.17. So, the IWMs, I posted, by the way, I just posted all three of these sport, charts on Redler All Access, so you can look at them after. This looks like it could be a setup here. As long as it holds 149, maybe it gets up to this 152 where the 200 day is. Every now and then you do get a trade first clue here. Remember this red dog reversal. This was basically, this happened before I think the S&P even reclaimed that 2856. So every now and then the IWMs could give some clues and it could give a trade. I haven't been that active there. I've been just watching it to help me navigate, my thought process. And for today, hanging in here, it got a little bit, a little pressure off, or a little, relief on this. It was down a little bit on Friday because people thought Friday's jobs number weren't spectacular. So, when you have weaker numbers, IWM's weaker. When you have strong numbers or, big China news, it's usually stronger. So that's like the correlation. So at this point, 150, 191 is resistance. So it has some room there. I think it's below 150. So if you think there's a trade here, you could be long versus 149 and, maybe make a dollar or two. With that said, usually, JP Morgan and the banks are in that same camp. At this point, it's the banks are not special, but they're definitely, doing better than they have since that low was a little, had a decent move here. Didn't even make a new low, and then got to resistance, held higher, and then if you remember, on Thursday I was shorting from 113 to 114, and I probably broke even or lost a little bit because it just happened so fast. And then PS, it did go down back to 112, 111.96 actually. So if you stayed with that cute short, and I'm not that good at cute shorts because you usually go counter a move and you're anticipating. Well, anyway, it did get back down to 112. So if you stayed with it, you made some money, and hopefully, you said, okay, that's that. And now we'll see, does it go sideways? I think it's up a little bit today, and then there's some room towards 115. Okay, I wouldn't overtrade these banks, so I'm not going to overtrade them. I just look at them at extremes, and every now and then at extremes you could get a trade. At this point, it's probably, I think, right around 113 or more. So I wouldn't short, and I don't think you could buy for it to clear this to get to there, but we'll see. Bank of America, not as good of a trader. It's still in this friggin' huge range. Held this 26 area, went as high as 28.43, got stopped at the 200-day, still has a gap above it, kind of held here. Looks like it could go sideways a little bit. These type of things, you're better off, if you want to be long, you should be long versus an area and not add when it's going. So you buy on weakness, or you're long, when it's like inside versus a low. So then when it goes, you don't have to chase it, because chances are these things usually, don't pay you for buying high and selling it higher. Sometimes you have to, maybe be engaged in it. Right now, I'm not engaged with either one of these. So, let's go into the go-to list, which is definitely very, not say wishy-washy, but different, very particular. You have all this antitrust news. We're gonna have to listen to see how what they say about Google and Facebook again. They kind of got hit on Friday. We'll get into that. So I haven't really been focusing there. I've been watching out of the corner of my eye. Maybe I'll look at it. My big focus has been Amazon. Amazon, you look at the bigger picture chart, it's hard to see much except for, this support and this mini trend line held. If you remember, what got me involved in Amazon was that RBC upgrade, and then finally on this day it acted pretty well. So this was the day, I bought Amazon. It was like 1890. Okay, then finally it held above this area, and I'm like, okay, now you could be long versus 1796. So right here, I was long there, and I actually, which was, I went over this. It was actually helped me hold it. I was long from like below 1800, and then I sold the 1815s for like $9. So that gave me, to 1825 to make money on those shares. So that's, 30 points, which is nice to make in a name. Amazon, obviously, it's not a big thing, but it's still money. So that kind of helped me hold, my shares, because if I would have sold them and it was higher than 1815, I would have been short them. So instead, you'll see the 1815 calls that I was short disappeared, but so did some of my Amazon stock. But I made over 25 points, and it helped me because when Amazon came in a little bit, I wasn't that worried, because I also had a cushion that if it went down, I keep the premium and then I wait. So then PS on this day, got paid on the Amazon stock, and I actually bought more, and I sold the 1830s for this Friday and got paid $22. So that gives me till 1850. So if I'm longer at 1828 and I sell it for 22, that means, again, I have cushion down towards 1810, and then I can make 20 points or so on that. So it also helps me, pays me to hold it. But then I also have some free trading shares. So anyway, that's what I've been doing with Amazon. And now today, if it happens to get above and stay above 1842, what I'm going to do is I'll probably just buy shares, and then if it quickly spurts to 1850, sell some, and then stay with my existing position I've been managing since here, maybe or towards this 1870. So that's the thought process on there. Some guys like Red Dog, I've never seen you trade options around stock, and when I wasn't sure because Amazon was weak for so long, finally it felt like it changed. It gave me some wherewithal and some confidence to sit in it. I did not take Apple home, but it was a good trade from here. Sold it into Friday, so nice 3-day trade. You know how Red Dog loves 3-day trades. Now see, I guess, does it hold 12, 214.40-ish, to get up to here? But tomorrow's the event, and I've seen these events before, and even though, they're not expecting anything big, they try and sell the event that day. For some reason that always happens. And if they can't sell the event that day, typically it's a better buy, and then it's out of the way, and then there's a better trend. So I'm probably going to just watch it a little bit, as you have 215.31 here, which is above 214.40, and then this 221.31 is obviously huge. But I don't think, that's the case, today or tomorrow even, but maybe more after the news, or the event. If they can't sell it, perhaps, then it works its way towards this spot this week. So I'm going to be watching it. It was very good to us last week. So this is your closer view of it. Still, they make a lot of money, and they have a big buyback, and they give a dividend, and through all this thick and thin, it didn't go down. But still, Trump tweets something about China, and they keep the tariffs on. They might think that China responds back, blah blah blah. So don't be all in Apple just because it's Apple. You have to trade it, or you own it, like Jim says, for the past 5 years, or 10 years, and you've done very well that way too. Anyway, Facebook is something that's been a little bit more of a headline, battleground. I, thank goodness, wasn't long it when the news came out that another antitrust, another this or that. Anyway, this is Friday's low. It's right in the middle of it, so it's like an inside action. I think there's supposed to be some of the press conference around 2 o'clock. People have been saying about what they're targeting them for. If it doesn't go down, maybe the news is out of the way, and then you could buy it versus this spot, and the headlines are done. And then if it takes this out, that'd be impressive. Same thought process for Google. Inside day, all in all, with all the fines on YouTube and the antitrust this and the 2020 elections focus, how Google I guess gears people for the search. Can't get too bearish if it holds this 1189, and that's what it's doing right now. It's holding this 1189, so that should be, if you're long Google, this could be your stop right here, if you're still in it, or if you're really tight, just kind of give it to Friday's lows, or give it to 1200. But if it hangs in here through all this headline risk and news, chances are it's going to take out this 1214, and then you have 1228, which is another $14 above, and then there's that post earnings move, and it's still, all in all, you look at it sideways from way back when, hasn't done a whole heck of a lot. This peak of 1291 was over a year ago. So still over a year ago, it still hasn't made a new high. So anyway, this is what we've been focusing on the ranges. This is 1296, 1291. So I would continue to know where the all-time highs are, but more importantly, know where your your intraday pivots are. I haven't been that active in Google just because of the headline risk, etc. And listen, there's headline risk on Amazon too. Like, why doesn't Amazon have any antitrust news when president said he's going to look into them, etc., but it hasn't happened. So that's why I'm not getting too big, and that's why I also have these options that if all of a sudden the news happens and the stock goes down $20, I could buy the calls back and keep my stock. Or I have my stock and it doesn't come out, and it goes higher than where I sold my calls and get my premium, and I just make a little less. So that's my way of navigating that stock. As far as Twitter, that's been fantastic. Right in here, we were looking for a breakout. That one false move got me out, and then this day got me back in. Red Dog went back to it. Just because they had a false day doesn't mean it's done. Even if you lost money, it just means it wasn't ready. So that's one of the things we've been focusing on, how to go back to a name when it doesn't do what you want it to do when. So anyway, it was back in here. I've been in since, and I'm going to try and stay in it. Someone's like, Red Dog, you should take a look at the longer term picture. Besides the year to date, look at the 5-year. It'll show you how, it could go more than just 47, so I was thinking 47, which is just last year's high. But he's like, if you go back, he's like, Red Dog, look at it, go back. It's like, it still hasn't even, cleared. I don't want to start marking everything, but this is what's that? That's 53, and the all-time high on Twitter when it was all excited back in the day was 75. So looking at it that way, there's still a lot more room. So at least 47, and again, you look at relative strength. This was one of the best acting names while everything was coming in. It stayed above the moving averages, so it gave you a reason to stay in it. So I'm going to stay in it. Snap did wake up on Friday. I did buy it back again. I bought it somewhere around 16. I tweeted to you guys, I'm like, hey, I'm buying Snap at 16, and then it was above 16.20. I'm like, hey, I'm buying more Snap as long as it holds above 16.20. So I have a decent amount of Snap. It's up a little bit. What's your next little spot here? This is 17 or so. If it gets close to 17, I'll probably trim some, and then I'll hold some, so this way I could stay with some and trade around it, because I do think it could work its way back towards this 1836. Why not? Even though it's come a long way, but it's still hanging in there. Still has a nice pattern. This was when I sold it actually up here, so I've had the luxury of revisiting. So I guess if you take a look at it now, this would be a spot. What is that? It's 21 and change. So this 18 and change will be resistance. Gets through that, then it has the next zone of 18 plus to 21 plus. But for right now, we'll focus on the levels. So in order for this to, in my mind, get to 1836, it's got to hold 1620 now. You don't want to see a stock clear a little trend line like this and then give it back. So for now, we'll see how that goes. 1664 is Friday's high. It stays above that. That would be cool. Moving along to the cloud names are tough. The cloud names are kind of, to me, they look a little weaker than stronger. Even Coop, that had great numbers, they played with people. What do I mean by playing with people? Well, you look at Coop, this first day traded above this 48, 148.90, went as high as 156, and kind of closed below to get people out, and then did a red dog reversal, got back up here, got back to the highs, closing the lows. It's just doesn't seem like the easiest thing to trade, which is hence why I put them in my morning note and I give you guys your levels, but I don't really focus there unless it's like a crazy awesome tight setup, which I don't see a lot of them, but this looks kind of best, so make sure it holds 148. This team kind of looks odd if you look at it. Not odd, it's just not special. It broke the trend line and came back into resistance and got rejected, but can't get too bearish here as long as it holds above 130. But I got gave you red dog reversal, gave you a little bit of an up move. So it's take these trades. I think these names now, just look at them as a day and a quarter, day and a half, and really look at the action intraday, because it changes from day to day. Like this NOW acts kind of okay too, just like team, but you can't buy strength, and it does seem like if the group gets hit again, this might break this little spot here and work its way back towards 250. So just take care there. There was another one that I saw that looked even worse. So Twilio, oh, look at that. So this is like kind of what this looks like, but it didn't do it. Not saying it's gonna, but look at this NOW. Okay, look at this support here. Look at obviously not the exact same type of name, but broke this 130, closing the lows. Just kind of similar as it did up here. So just, again, these things change, and you can't just be thinking long all the time, and you got to be able to be short them or just avoid them. So that's them. The new issues aren't acting special. CRWD and Zoom reported last week, and instead of buying them, they sold them, and they were decent reports, but they are high valuation, and doesn't seem like people are in a rush there. The same way Beyond has changed from a go-to stock to, I haven't traded it in a while. This was your great move above the 821 day, hit your peak, and now just a whole lot of little micro trades. But at this point, that little peak of 172, it came down $18. So maybe it fills this gap up here to 160, but I wouldn't trade it. The ZM now also, look at that. Went back up to 96, got rejected, broke below 92. So some of you who are looking to short these things, are good at shorting things, maybe got short, or if you were looking long about how to get out of the way, and now close below this. Here's 84.86, and could do a red dog reversal today and screw up everybody. I just don't think you need to be here. Just unless you trade these new issues and you like them because they're kind of thin and you can see where the buyers and sellers are. But that, for me, there's not enough liquidity, and I just only trade them when they have perfect setups. And right now, this to me obviously doesn't look special and does look like it can continue lower. So watch this low here. Same thing with the CRWD. Went from special status to blah. Special status for this time period, and now they ran it into earnings, and then boom, trapped everybody. So at this point, It's a whole lot of nothing. Let them rebuild. Sometimes, these new issues have a good 2-3 months of continuity because, insiders are stuck in there and there's shorts that are there and, there's excitement around it. And then all of a sudden they start to trade differently and lose composure, lose interest. And you just have to sometimes give them 6 months, 9 months, a year before they do something again. Remember Twilio, which we just said before, it had a great 9 months and a year, and then it took a year off and then made all-time highs. So you don't forget about them, but you move them down the list. Pins also, Pins, acted great after earnings. Here it looked fantastic. All of a sudden you had a, king and queens formation where this strong they got matched by the red day and never took back more than half, and boom, boom, boom. So for today, 1, 2, 3 down days, could you get a red dog reversal around 30 for a trade? This used to be big resistance, so maybe this is support. Maybe this is actually worth a look for a day trade. I might look, but I got to see where it is. It might be up this morning, so it's not worth it. If it was down and reclaims 30 after 33 from 36, maybe it's worth a scalp long, and then maybe you'll see, does that change it or not. LK, I haven't looked in a few days. This actually still acts a little bit better than some of the other names. So as long as maybe this holds this 19 area, perhaps this pocket pivot could trigger higher. It's also kind of correlated to the China names that are acting better with the potential of a China deal. Some are asking, why am I in this NVTA? It was a sales trader call. Supposedly Citron came out with a report on it in here that it can go to 100 in the next few years for its potential, whatever. Here was your reversal. Here's where the trend broke, and then they did a deal. So I think people got wind of a money raise, and they raised a lot of money, which is ultimately good for the company down the road. So anyway, you now had a little red dog reversal. So if I wasn't, getting my eyeballs on it from sales traders, I would maybe say, hey, it's worth a try here. A little red dog reversal, and then it has some room up to resistance at 23, then 24. But for me, I don't have a thesis here. I'm just trying to play a bounce, just something else to do besides my normal names. And now you could use this low here as your stop, which would be 2077. What else? I took this little small name too, just because it was huge volume and didn't have any follow through. Like 2 big days of crazy volume. And this was a nice wide range bar, so sometimes they have follow through. It was down 10 cents. So when a name like this that I don't even know, that has huge volume, if it's not up huge the next day and it's down a little bit, I know there's a lot of fast money in there like me, so I usually sell at least half right away, and then I wait to see what happens next, but I get out of at least half. Now this high here is 351. In order to continue, it's got to get above 351. But I am not overly enamored here. It's just something at the end of the day. There are traders out there, besides having a go-to list, look for names that are trading unusual volume for some particular reason, and they just buy them not knowing what the hell they are, but it's trading big volume, so someone likes it, and then maybe there's something special happening, and as of now, nothing special happened. So we'll see. It's a game that people play. I don't usually play that game, and if I do, that's when we're in a decent market like we've had for 2 weeks. So I'll trade my usual names, and every now and then I'll throw something in, and maybe something good happens. If not, I know how to deal with them. I would watch the TLT today. See if this 143.89 holds. Okay, that's the 21 day. If it breaks and stays below it, chances are the equity markets are probably acting well. I do kind of think it's going to hold it. Then also look at gold. Gold, got a little bit of a side swipe after closing on highs. It gapped down below the 2-day low and then continued down. So that probably trapped some leftover longs that were playing it from higher prices, even though it had such a big run. Now watch this 141.86. Does it hold? See what kind of bounce back it has here. When the non-farm payrolls came out, I actually, on the VTF, I was trying to buy the GLD. It was down 40 cents and wouldn't go at all. And then I got out of it because I was like, why isn't anyone buying gold? I guess I'm wrong. And then 10 minutes later, GLD went green and went up 60 cents. I was like, oh. But anyway, when, Powell spoke at lunch, he got a hit again. So at this point, it's lost some momentum. So I'd be a little careful and see how short-term it holds 141.86. This is the 8-day. It hasn't been below the 8-day in a long time, and finally now the 8-day, it's below it and it's curling lower. So that's saying take more caution in gold. It's going to be a little less forgiving. So with that said, it's 8:39. I got to start posting more charts. I hope everyone had a great weekend. If you're in longs, make sure to manage them. Tomorrow's the Apple event. All these high beta names are not created equal. There's definitely some trickiness in the cloud and software grip area. So just take your trades and try and stick with things a little bit longer, because again, the market's been a little less forgiving. But also after a move from 28.56 to 29.85, if you haven't been long this entire time, take care if you're starting to get too aggressive now. Now's the time to manage your trade and just stay light on your feet. Have a good morning. I'll see you soon.